Hello my fabulous book friends, welcome back to another video. So today I am going to show you my July book haul, mostly of books that I've purchased, whatever, but a few of them are books that are sent to me. I was sent a bit more, but like I don't remember, so we're just gonna ignore them. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna start with this pile, which are the books that I remember were sent to me for sure during July. After that, I have no idea. So the first one, this is from Thomas Allen and Sons. They sent me The Archer by Shruti Swami. This takes place in 1960s, 1970s era Bombay. And basically it tells the life of our main character, Vidya, who just wants to like live the artistic kind of lifestyle. But also, you know, while she's navigating like desire, duty. This book kind of delves into the world of art and like how it can inspire somebody and maybe like, you know, lead somebody's life or things like that. So it sounds like a really good novel. I love anything like 1960s, 1970s kind of timeline, so that's perfect for me. It's a very floppy paperback, which makes me happy, and the print size is pretty decent. So it looks like a really quick read, and it's purple. Like, amazing. Oh, and I should probably say the publisher's Algonquin Books, my bad. But Thomas Allen and Sons is like their distributor here in Canada, so that's how, like, I'm on the reviewer list. That's how I got this book. All right, so the next book that Thomas Allen and Sons sent me was The Poet's House by Jean Thompson, which is also published by Algonquin Books, and this is about a woman in her 20s who she right now, like, she's working as an assistant to a landscaper or something like that, and everybody tells her that she's on the wrong path in her life. Then all of a sudden, I guess she gets a job at some really cool place with a poet, and she's kind of wrapped up in that whirlwind lifestyle of a poet. If you know a poet, you know a poet. So like you can imagine how insane that gets. And it's basically just a journey of our main character kind of finding her way in life and the art world, basically, through obviously the poet's house or a poet's eyes. So I'm sure that this makes for a very entertaining read, and the cover is very beautiful. I love the little images at the back. I think it's so cute and perfect for the type of book that it probably will be. Okay, and the last book that I remember being sent to me is Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin. I swear, Sourcebooks Fire, which is their YA imprint, they have sent me so many arcs of this book. Like, I have them behind my head. I can show you. Like, I have so many iterations, like an arc without the cover, an arc with the cover, and now this finished hardcover edition. But it's not just any edition, because we have a little note in here. This is a limited edition hardcover. Look how beautiful this is. I mean, it's such a stunner. I am so happy. I will definitely be keeping this book in my collection. The arcs I'm just gonna give to a couple of friends, but I know I'm horrible. They've sent me at least, this is like the 6th book of this book that they sent me, which is fine. Like, I keep spreading the book love and giving them to friends. I don't know too much about this book, but according to this little card that they included, I'll just tell you the tropes because that's gonna sell you to this book for sure. So enemies to lovers, sold. Like, I'm sure for a lot of you, I don't even need to read that much more. Like, you guys are already sold. There's only one tent, forced proximity, meddling owl, witchy magic, and slow burn, which is really cool. I don't know when this book releases, but if you do pre-order this limited edition hardcover, I'm sure you can do that at any bookstore, probably like Barnes and Nobles, or maybe obviously your local indie, of course. $1 from every pre-order will go towards the care of Sequoia. I don't think I said that right. The northern spotted owl. She is a threatened species and requires medical care at Wild Care in California. So yeah, definitely a US promotion, I think, maybe, but I'm sure if you pre-ordered from elsewhere, like, it should be good to go. So yeah, I'm excited for this, even though they have sent me multiple copies and I've given most of them away. Just seeing like enemies to lovers, forced proximity, I'll totally, probably, hopefully try to read this in October. Okay, so moving on to the 15 book pile that I've got of books that I've purchased. Maybe 2 of these were purchased in June. I don't remember. It's really bad. I can't even remember, but July just felt so long. So I figured, let me just, you know, include them in this video. And if they were June hauls, they were probably purchased right at the end of June. And then I just got them either like right before July or whatever. So you know what? It's fine. Okay, so let me actually start with the books that I don't know if they were purchased in June or July, but I'm just going to include them anyways. They're these ones, both from Coach House Books. I bought them because they were having a special promotion on their website. Or I mean, it wasn't really a promotion, it was like an Instagram post. But if you ordered more than one book, then they would send you a really cute sticker, which I have one downstairs. I don't know where my other one is because they sent me two, which is really nice of them. But yeah, it was a really cute sticker, and that's why I bought these off of their website. These are both Canadian authors, so if you don't know any of them, that's totally fine. I will talk about The Second Substance first by Anne Lardeux, translated by Pablo Strauss. I don't know anything about this book before I bought it. I do know Pablo Strauss though. He's a really great translator. He's translated a few of our books at Dundon Press where I work. So like I know he's a really great translator, and he does a really great job with his books. So that's really honestly why I bought this. So this promises to be a raunchy novel. It takes place in rural Quebec at a gas station, and I guess there's like literally no civilization. So there is a group of people, or I guess a community of squatters form, and they basically have to build a new society. Here it says, how will they build something new on the ashes of our petro-civilization? I have no clue what that word means, so it sounds fun. I have no idea what's going to happen in this book. They try anonymous sex, anarchist theory, psychotropic mushrooms, and old-fashioned beer and cigarettes as they chip away at the asphalt of roads and the cement of late capitalist social convention. So it sounds like one of those really, not high literary, but a pretty niche literary novel. So I think that those could be really cool sometimes, especially like the ones that are translated. Like it's just very interesting to me. So I'm very excited about it, even though I did not probably explain it that well. And the second book that I bought from them was A Suitable Companion for the End of Your Life by Robert McGill. So I really like the yellow of this. I think there needs to be more like yellow, orangey, and also purple books in the world. So I thought this was a good addition to my library. This book sounds out of this world. Amazing. I hope it's really great because it sound like this is probably, I'm gonna predict this might be one of my favorite books of the year whenever I read it. So basically it is about an 18-year-old who is a distance runner, and she decides to end her life, and the method that she chooses to use you can only find on the dark web. So she hires this other person named Yul, I don't know how to say that name. So she hires Ul, who is like kind of slowly starting to remember while she's working with this 18-year-old about her own life and how the government, back whenever she's thinking about approach to pandemic stuff. So while she's remembering that, our main 18-year-old character is now like also starting to have doubts about her decisions. So it sounds like one wild ride, and I'm very excited to read it. So moving on to my next little book haul, I bought these books from Happily Ever Bookstore, Happily Ever After Bookstore, I think. I have bookmarks. So Happily Ever After Books, they're on Instagram and Twitter, and I know they have a TikTok, but it's just not on these bookmarks. But they are Toronto's, or I guess Canada's, official like romance only store, and they're really great. You can go shop on their online store, and I just picked these up because she had like a first time 15% off deal at the time. So I bought Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma and The Dachshund Wears Prada by Stephanie London, which I think is a Canadian author if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I need to talk too much about this book because it is everywhere. Well, it was everywhere, at least when it first came out. All I know really about it is that it's very spicy. It's got a great story, great main characters, and very, spicy, very swoony. So I can't wait to read it. Everyone who I know on Bookstagram who has read it has loved it. So it's probably going to be a very quick new favorite for me. And for this one, The Dachshund Wears Prada, I mean, the title, like, you really don't have to second guess a book. It's like, should I buy it? But like, no, you're just going to buy it because of the title, basically. but it is, I know it has a social media element to it. That's something that I've been looking for a lot lately, is books that have some kind of social media element to it, because I work with social media a lot. I do it every day, obviously, as a lot of us do. So I find it interesting what authors' takes on social media are. So that's why I really find the whole like online world kind of angle to a book very interesting. All I pretty much know about this book is that it has a sibling quality to it, a sibling relationship thing to it. I think the main character house sits or something, or at least takes care of a dog, clearly from the cover of the book, for somebody very rich. And yeah, probably, I haven't heard too much about this from Bookstagram or Book Talk, but I mean, it's very short, so it should be a fun, quick, light read, just like Dating Dr. Dill should be. This next book is embarrassing to talk about. So I read this quite a while ago before it first came out. This is a book for work, Seven Down by David Whitten. I don't want to say like genre bending, but it's like, it's got a really good mix of like literary with thriller with crime. So basically it's told in the epistolary format. So it's all transcripts of this agency or this company thing, whatever you want to call it, interviewing hotel employees who were recruited to help take part in a assassination attempt at a hotel in downtown Toronto that completely failed. So now they're being interviewed to find out their side of what they did, because they had very clear instructions on what to do. So they're basically being interviewed of like, why did it fail, things like that. So it's a really fun book. I think it's very unique. But this book came out in November 2021, and I kind of coordinated with David and a couple people at Dundurn to kind of get David in to sign books. But when I found out he had a very unique signature, I'm like, set one aside for me, please. So he had a stamp that basically says classified 7 Down Corp review. It's kind of like a document stamp thing, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was so excited when I learned about that. Clearly he signed it on November 17th 2021, and it's been sitting at the Dundurn Press office in Leslieville ever since, and I was finally in the area, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick it up. So yeah, I do really recommend this book. If you're in Canada, head to dundurn.com. You can use code ReadingMaria20 on literally the entire website, all books. But use it especially on this book because it's really fun. And again, it's a short read, so I mean, you can't really go wrong. I loved it. So these next 5 books I won't talk about too much because I already talked about them in another video, which was my Queen Books bookstore tour, very quickly done bookstore tour. So I will link that video either in a card up here or in the description below. But just to reiterate, these were the 5 books that I bought and still have not picked up since that bookstore tour. But those books were Hood Feminism by Miki Kendall, Edge of the Grave, A Serial Killer Who Can't Stop, A Detective Who Won't Give Up by Robbie Morrison, which was a staff pick. And if you watch that bookstore video, you will see that the bookseller just literally, I don't know, she spoke like 4 words and I blanked out because I was already sold on the book. So yeah. New Waves by Kevin Ewan, Yes Daddy by Jonathan Parks Rampage, Ramage, whatever. I'm gonna stick with Ramage because it sounds fancy. And a book that I'll be reading very soon for sure, My Face in the Light by, oh my goodness, there it is, Martha Shabazz. I did not say that right. I really want to do a video probably very late August about my Toronto Book Award shortlist predictions. So I'm just trying to read the entire long list. So this is on it. So I'm definitely prioritizing this book. And one more that I will show you soon. One book I know nothing about. I bought it from another story bookshop here in Toronto. They shared a post on Instagram. I looked at the cover and the title, and then I went online and I purchased the book. And I know nothing about it. I still know nothing about it. I've even shared it on like Twitter and Instagram, and people were commenting like, oh yeah, I love the author. And in my head, I don't want to sound dumb though, but like, I don't know who the author is. And so, but I don't tell that to people because like, I feel like that's embarrassing because people obviously know her, but I've never heard of her. But anyways, the book is Francie's Got a Gun by Carrie Snyder, award-winning author of Girl Runner, which I've never read. I've never even heard of. So I know nothing about this book. I saved it to know what this book was about for this video, so let's just find out together and let's read the description together. On a June afternoon in a small city, a wild-eyed girl named Francie dashes down a neighborhood street clutching a gun. She doesn't know exactly what she's running from, and she doesn't know what she's heading towards. All she understands is she needs to survive. To save herself, she has no choice but to run, and to save those she loves, she must hold tight to that gun. Swirling around Francie is a chorus of friends, family, and neighbors, each person with a different view of her. As we hear from these voices, Francie's steadfast best friend Alice, Alice's comically unaware mother Sally, and struggling mathematician father David, Francie's distressed and distracted mother Marietta, and troubled unwell father Luke, a fractured portrait emerges of the girl and the village surrounding her, and at last we arrive at a still point in the chaos, a tall tree where Francie takes shelter and where the meaning of her flight for herself and for the people around her becomes clear. Okay, so that sounds very haunting. That kind of really reminds me of Notes on an Execution. Like, it's kind of, I mean, maybe not so much. I'm sure we get Francie's point of view in here somewhere, but Notes on an Execution was about a serial killer, and the book was told through the eyes of the woman in his life. So that kind of sounds like this a little bit. Like I said, all I saw was this beautiful cover on Another Story Bookshop's like display and the title. I'm like, sold. I needed no other convincing. So I will attempt to prioritize this as much as I can because this was such an impulse buy, but I'm sure it'll end up being a new favorite. Fingers crossed. Because it was expensive, like $32 Canadian, because hardcovers are expensive. I probably should have waited. By the time I read this book, I'm sure the paperback will be out because that's just the way my life seems to be going lately with buying books, but it's fine. It gets royalties to a Canadian author at least. I hope they're Canadian. Yes, Waterloo, great. So it gets a royalty, it helps towards a royalty statement for a Canadian author, so I'm happy. All right, so the last little pile I have for you all came from Book City. Actually, I bought the books 7 Down and these books all at the same time because I was on my way to a Dungeon Press staff party. So I went to Book City, then I stopped by at the office really quick to buy that book. And then I went next door to the staff party. So it was a great day of buying books that day. So first I bought Astra by Cedar Bowers, I don't know. This came with so much praise on Bookstagram. I think it was on the Giller last year, the 2022 Giller Awards. So that's probably where I recognize it from. I know Larissa from The Book Mom read this and loved it, and the reason why I bought this was because there were, oh my gosh, I'm horrible with first names, but Bonka Ray Reads, I'll link her down below in the description box, but she basically not compared this book, but she made this book sound exactly like Notes on an Execution, which I just mentioned, so that's why I bought it. Yeah, so I feel like had I not read and loved Notes on an Execution, I would not have bought this book for sure. But as the tagline or the sales tagline says, a beguiling novel about the different faces of one woman as seen through the eyes of 10 people over a lifetime. So yeah, that kind of sounds exactly like Notes on an Execution minus the serial killer. So anyways, it's gotten a lot of praise, so I can't wait to read this. I'm very excited. And go Canlit. So this next book is another book that I also know really nothing about. I just picked it up because I love bees on book covers. I'm trying to like build a collection of that. I don't know why, but it just seems to be what I want to do lately, so I'm just gonna do it. But this is The Music of Bees by Eileen Garvin. This is another book that I posted about, and then people are like, oh, I heard that book's really good. And I'm like, I've never heard about it before, but I'm not gonna tell you that. So this book is about 3 unlikely friends, or I guess 3 people who are unlikely to become friends, but they are. We have a 44-year-old woman who's in a dead-end job. We have a paraplegic teenager, and then the third person is, I believe, a almost mid-20s kind of person, and he has social anxiety. So as they're working on this bee farm together, I guess they figure out that there's some kind of corruption in their community, and it's probably up to them to figure it out. I don't know, but I just know that, again, bees on the cover, sold. I didn't even read the description. I'm just like, yeah, pick it up. Let's just add it to this pile. Why not? Next up is a book that I've already read. It might be one of my favorite books of the year, and that is Fight Night by Miriam Toews. Definitely not toes, but whatever. My boss said it really fancy one day. I'm like, that's how you say it, and it has not retained in my brain, but that's fine. I loved this book so much. It's like, I think I loved it so much because it was so unexpected. I didn't think I'd like it, but I actually loved it because I've read Only Women Talking by this author, and I didn't like it at all that much. I don't even know if I have my copy still, and I really regret not having it if I don't have it, because now I really want to start a Miriam Toes collection. So this book is about a family, three women, or I guess two women, one girl, they're all related. So we've got the grandmother, we have her daughter, who is the mother of the 9-year-old girl in this book. I believe her name is something different. Swiv. Her name is Swiv, the 9-year-old. So the 9-year-old Swiv lives with her mother and her grandmother. Swiv was recently expelled or suspended from school, so Granny took it upon herself to educate her 9-year-old. And of course Granny, she's like an out of this world character. She's so hilarious. So she obviously doesn't have like math lessons, English lessons. She has life lessons, which I think is much better than what they'll teach you in school. Because Swiv's father is out of the equation at the moment, Granny decides to give Swiv an assignment to write to her father in letters that will never get sent, obviously, but at least to like tell him about her life and what he's missing and things like that. And in return, Swiv tells her grandmother to write letters to her unborn grandchild, which is Swiv's mother, who's gonna have a baby soon. So I thought it was really interesting, very cool. Again, like I said, very funny. I didn't think I'd laugh so hard. This was shortlisted for the Giller Prize last year. Did I say 2022 earlier? I definitely meant 2021. I can see why it didn't win, but this is also longlisted for the Toronto Book Awards, which is why I read this book. I would love to see this book on that shortlist though, but we'll see. I think this is definitely more of a Toronto Book Award ebook than a Giller book, but that's just my opinion. But anyways, I will post a video of my full thoughts later on in August. And the last book finally that I bought was The Relatives by Camila Gibb. I'm reading it right now. As you can see, I'm on page 22 as I'm filming this. This is also on the long list for the Toronto Book Awards. I had this book on hold at the library, the ebook through Overdrive, because I don't go to my local library. They were really rude one time, so I just refused to go there, and I'm too lazy to go to another branch. But anyway, so that's why I'm just like, well, I'm here at the bookstore now. I saw it, there's only one copy left, so I just like bought it because I didn't want to wait like another 3 weeks. So Overdrive said that I would have to wait. So yeah, that's why I picked it up. I'm reading it right now, like I just said. It's a short book. It's about one woman who is on a long and painful journey to motherhood. And there's also two other women involved who are in the process of, they're going through separation and they're fighting over embryos and things like that. And then there's also the man who is the sperm donor who's like being held captive somewhere. I believe Somalia? Yes, Somalia. So it kind of sounds like one of those intricate family drama, not family drama because they're not like related, but like one of those intricate like dramatic life stories that, I don't know, we'll see. I know someone didn't like it, so I'm trying not to let that opinion sway me, but we'll see. But so far from what I've read, I do like the writing styles. I will say that. Can you see them all? I believe so, yes. So yeah, those are all the books that I bought / were kind of sent to me, even though I don't really remember, but it's fine. Yeah, there's a lot. I feel like I've definitely read over 80 books this year, but I feel like I have not made a dent whatsoever in my physical book TBR. And this is probably why. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if I should prioritize any of them, because clearly there's a lot. Yeah, don't forget to leave that in the comments below. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you for my next video.